Hello, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be. Welcome to our first Saturday stream for Aconite Books. Today we are talking to Tristan, the author of Domino Strays, this delightful book here. I'm Angeli, Aconite's marketing manager. And Tristan, would you like to say anything about yourself?
Yes, first I did want to thank you for taking time out of your Saturday to do this. I know you did not have to, and we all appreciate it. My work schedule has been pretty busy lately. But I'm Tristan Palmgren. I wrote Domino Strays for Aconite and for Marvel. It's my first book for them, hopefully not my last. And my third book overall. I am a science fiction and fantasy writer.
Indeed. And at the end, you can tell everyone a little bit more about those books as well. But let's jump in to Domino Strays then. So, for fans of Marvel and also non-fans, I suppose, where exactly do the Aconite books sort of sit within the Marvel universe?
Well, they're in the Marvel multiverse. They're not Earth 616 like the main Marvel comics, but I believe we've designated it Earth 618, so it's fairly close to the Marvel Comics universe. And I tried to make as many references to it as possible, but that does leave us some leeway to change some background events, as I've already done, and then it also does leave us some leeway just in case there's something that changes in the main Marvel continuity down the line that we haven't accounted for. I know Domino's been appearing plenty in for example the upcoming X Factor comics that are coming out this year and still coming out. That we don't have access to those plot twists, so it gives us the freedom to kind of carve our own direction if we need to.
Excellent. So you mentioned some of the comics. Do some of the current comics, have they sort of influenced your writing, or is anyone specifically influenced our Domino?
Yeah, definitely. Domino Strays is based heavily on Gail Simone and David Balderon's 10-issue Domino miniseries from 2018, and then its follow-up, Hot Shots from 2019. Domino's team, as it appears in Strays, is taken from those miniseries. So in addition to Domino herself, we've got Inez Temple as Outlaw, there's Diamondback, Black Widow from the Avengers has also joined the team. Atlas Bear and White Fox all are from those comics and all appear in this novel as well. Then some of the backstory from Domino. Sorry to interrupt.
That's fine.
some of the backstory for Domino that appears in this novel was also taken from early 2000s Domino miniseries, whose author I'm blanking on. I apologize, but it shouldn't be difficult to find if you just search for Domino miniseries. Because this is our own continuity, we made some changes to it, but it is very heavily inspired by it.
I was going to ask why did you choose Gail Simone's sort of comics for your influence? Is there a specific reason for that particular Domino?
Just the very sharp writing and the voice. That miniseries gave us a more closer, personal look at, and frankly, a really very funny look at Domino's voice and character than we've gotten in other comics. I really wanted to build off that and keep working with it.
So I shall show everyone the cover again. So this is Domino Strays. It is out now in paperback in the US and Canada, and available globally via ebook. You can get that wherever you buy your ebooks from, be it Amazon for your Kindle or Kobo or Barnes & Nobles. You can get it and download it no matter where you are within the world to read it. So
cover artwork is gorgeous. I can't stop staring at it.
It's so good. I love that the background is like a stained glass window, but in the stained glass there's like guns and bullets and daggers. It's like all the essential things that Domino might need. It's really stunning, and all of the heroine series are going to have that same sort of style to them. The Rogue one is particularly lovely as well.
Has that been made publicly available yet?
No, we haven't shown that off yet. We've mentioned the book, so people are aware it's coming. But yeah, we've not shown off that particular cover yet. But it's quite lovely.
I do really like the cover from the first of the Xavier's Institute novels that's coming out too.
Yes, that's out. Yeah, week after next.
Yes, very close.
October we are. But can you tell us a little bit about the book then? Can you tell us what people can expect from it?
Well, it's a first-person novel. I knew that from the point of conception, just because, like I said, Domino's voice in Gail Simone's comics was so funny, so entertaining, and so readable that I just wanted to keep working with it. I knew I wanted to have to give Domino a wider canvas, more space, and more words to express herself. So Domino Strays functions as both an introduction to the character and a continuation, more of an evolution of her story. It's told in 3 separate timelines, and I tried not to make that too confusing. Hopefully I succeeded. But it's told it's told through Domino's distant past, through her childhood, as she was raised in a facility called Project Armageddon, which is somewhere between a cult and a government super science program designed to create an ultimate weapon. She was considered a failure by that program and basically kicked out and became an orphan on the streets of Chicago, and her trials and troubles surviving there. The next timeline is set in something that for Marvel readers will be longtime Marvel readers, I should say, will be more familiar. It's set during her attempt to infiltrate the old Project Armageddon compound, where she comes into contact with her mother and other family members and learns a little bit more about her history that way. And then it's also set in the present in Chicago, and where she comes into where she reluctantly accepts a job to infiltrate a Chicago con man's cult, and gets tangled up emotionally with all of her own past involvements with the cult that raised her, the cult that shaped her family and abused her and really kind of made her who she was through all throughout her life. And all of these. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, just like, so for me, the only time I've ever heard of Domino is through the Deadpool movies. She was in the most recent one, so she's a completely new heroine for me. What made you pick her? Because I imagine, well, I know that Marvel sort of offered up a list of, you can play with these toys, but leave those ones alone. What made you go for Domino?
Yeah, we had a pretty wide range of when we were developing this project. Oh, everybody say hello to my poor kitten. She's in a surgical collar. But yeah, we had a pretty wide-ranging list of characters that we could choose from. So I read a little bit about all of them, and then the Domino grabbed me because the more I read about her and her backstory, what she could do, and more, and especially from the Gail Simone comics, what she sounded like, the more I wanted to know her. That's the hallmark of a great character. That's what gets me really invested in somebody, is the more I find out about them, the more I wanted to know. And the more I found out about Domino, the more I really wanted to know more about her. And it's kind of this self-sustaining loop. So once I'd read more than a few comics about her, I didn't really feel like I had much of a choice. I knew who I was invested in.
So she is sort of a luck wrangling mercenary. I want to know, how do you write luck into a story and keep it sort of interesting, rather than just like, she fired someone, oh, it hits them, how lucky.
One of the things I really love to do as a writer is write frenetic, kinetic action scenes. And this is, I think Domino's power is a little easier to write in prose than it is in comics, because you can really go into big, complicated Rube Goldberg chains of cause and effect. Like somebody knocks the gun out of the way at the last second, the bullet ricochets off a wall, hits a fire sprinkler overhead. Later, somebody else sets off the fire alarm and creates, rather than a sprinkle, a spray of water that disrupts aim again. That kind of thing can be shown in comics, and Domino has appeared. I think that the various writers and artists have done a pretty good job of that, and in Deadpool 2 as well, but it's a lot easier to be clearer and to have things get even more complicated in prose, but still be understandable. So it made for really fun action scenes.
Excellent. Yeah, so for me, I was thinking it was going to be like more complicated to write, but then sort of showing it on in a comic book or a.
Well, the chains of cause and effect do get more complicated, but I think they're easier to illustrate, because you can just it's easier to show things moving than it in prose than it is in a still panel of artwork.
That's true. Yes.
I think to make Domino's power really exciting, things have to be moving all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Is Domino your favorite Marvel character, or is there someone else?
I do have a real soft spot for Squirrel Girl. It's hard to keep from smiling whenever a Squirrel Girl does just about anything or shows up anywhere. I really like characters who kind of bend the narrative around their own needs. So Squirrel Girl showing up in can often be a very grim, dark Marvel universe, and kind of making it more of a more Silver Age wherever she goes is always really fun.
I don't know anything about Squirrel Girl. Can you tell me a little bit more about her?
Well, briefly, she was kind of like a reaction to the increasingly grim, dark direction that a lot of comics were going, when she first appeared. So she's kind of like this. Wherever she goes, the narrative voice of the universe bends around her, and things become a little more Silver Age, a little bit goofier, even though she still exists in the same continuity as the rest of the Marvel universe.
Oh, she sounds fun. I'm going to have to do some Googling on Squirrel Girl. She sounds
there are some panels I can find pictures of and share. She's wonderful.
Oh, that'd be great.
Especially when she's getting into an argument with Galactus.
Yes, please do share those with me. That would be very good to see. Okay, so you've written a short story for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you write a lot of tie-in fiction? And if so, what's your favorite thing about writing tie-in fiction?
Well, working with Aconite has been the first time I've written professional tie-in fiction. But like a lot of writers, I started out my first my first published things were fan fiction. My favorite thing about working in other universes is just playing with continuity, playing with the symbols and meanings that these things have already developed in readers' minds, and twisting them, turning them in new directions, and finding new angles to show these characters, to show new dimensions to these characters.
And maybe here would be actually a good place to talk very briefly on the short story as well, which was in our Keyforge Tales from the Crucible. So yeah, tell us a little bit about it's Contact, isn't it? I want to say off the top of my head.
Contract, yes.
Yeah,
but yes, Keyforge. Keyforge was really fun to work with. I'm hoping to be able to do more with that in the future, just because it's a such a big mishmash of ideas. For those who aren't familiar, it's kind of like a blend of fantasy and science fiction. The conceit for the card game and for the role-playing world from Fantasy Flight Games is that it's a world that's composed out of chunks of other worlds taken from all over the universe, and in some cases what seems like all over different pieces of a multiverse, or different universes that operate under different physical rules. So you have like extremely advanced high technological civilizations living right next door to druids and barbarians and people who happily fight ray guns and highly advanced technology with magic and bows and arrows. There are an infinite number of, at least it seems like an infinite number of these different chunks of worlds all put together, and they all interact in different ways. So it was really fun to just get into that twisted little universe and to find ways that to explore new ways that these different cultures were interacting, or more often conflicting.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the whole anthology. It was like my first sort of entrance into. I knew what Keyforge was because working with Asmodee, I was working with them when it launched. So like everyone was sort of given this is what Keyforge is. You should play this game. And so we all had to play it in our lunch breaks and things. And I really love the cards and the artwork, but like I'm not a card player. So
the card game was, I have a lot of fun with that, but probably my favorite part is the role-playing, role-playing system that was developed for role-playing world that was developed for the Genesis system. Yeah. That was a fantastic read, even though it's difficult to get together and play like new face-to-face tabletop groups. But during the pandemic, I still had a lot of fun just reading that as a book. I'll often do that just with RPG source books. Is just read them for fun.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, just get that lore in. Yeah,
highly recommend it.
Yes. Okay, so can you tell me, as a new time fiction author, what challenges you came across and how you overcame them?
Oh, one of the biggest challenge, at least for this project, was figuring out the rules as far as what kind of violence and sex and drug references were allowed and what wasn't, because many of the original Domino comics could be pretty violent. There were a lot of things that they were not afraid to discuss, but the books were a little, I guess, are a little gentler and looser. And going straight from the comics to writing this book, it took some work to figure out just what the rules were, because a lot of times that can't. There are so many different rules that they can't all be easily stated. Like we can't we can't talk about drugs, or we can't use this particular swear word, even though yes, we know the Domino comic that was just published last year used this exact swear word, but that's just what we're going with this book. For really, it's just and as far as getting past it, it just takes like a willingness to work with to figure out. To work with your editors and to figure out what the boundaries were, and then what you can accomplish within them, which is still just about everything, and certainly everything I wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, I know we were only allowed like 3 asses or something. We were allowed to tone it down. We were allowed to say like kick ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun coming up with ways to get around that. One of the since Domino wasn't very socially adept when she was raised, she learned a lot of swearing from comic books she read when she was around 10. So a lot of times she'll just actually say asterisks. I turned that into a running joke.
I like that.
Probably laughing too much at my own joke whenever I wrote that, but I think it's funny.
Me too. I enjoy that. Are we going to see any more of Domino?
I would really love to. I certainly have a lot of ideas, not just for Domino, but for the rest of Domino's team as they appear in Strays, especially people like Outlaw and Diamondback, and Black Widow especially.
Playing with the big names, that would be good. Right, I'm going to open up to chat. If anyone in chat has any questions at all for Tristan, please type them in. Or if you have any questions about Aconite in general for me, pop them up in the chat. I'll give that a minute for people to, if they have any questions. While that's happening, do you have anything else you want to plug at all? Any new stuff that's coming out? Any events or appearances? Anything like that?
Well, like I said, bye, Birdie. I do have other novels out right now. The tricky part is that they're kind of a hard sell right now because it's about a virulent and lethal pandemic. My first novel, Quietus, and some of its sequel, Terminus, is set during the Black Death. So it is explicitly about the ways that people react to a terrible civilization-altering plague, which I understand is not in everybody's wheelhouse right now. But if it is, I'm one of those people who finds myself strangely comforted by reading more about terrible things, and especially more about the ways that people react to or can react to or learn from terrible things. And that's explicitly what the protagonists of Quietus, who are a group of anthropologists from a transdimensional civilization who are dealing with their own plague, have come to medieval Earth to learn more about. It's just how it's been a long time since those characters have had to face death and disease and problems on quite the same scale, on quite the scale that they have to now. So they've traveled across dimensions to learn more about the ways that people have here.
Okay.
Again, I entirely understand if people would prefer to avoid that. So I'm not going to. I'm not going to push that too much, but it is something that I'm proud of, and that I hope could be helpful to some people even now.
Wonderful. I will put links as well in the chat afterwards when this gets uploaded onto YouTube. So
thank you.
Find that. The both of us have an appearance next week.
Yes.
Friday, which is 7 p.m. Mountain Time. which for me is 1 a.m. British summertime on Saturday morning. And we've got that's okay. We've got a Marvel panel that we're doing. I'm going to be moderating, and we have Tristan, we have Richard Lee Byers, Carrie Harris, who are all of our Marvel authors for October and November books. And we also have Lottie, who is our Aconite editor.
A wonderful editor. Let's see. In Richard's book, The Head of Mirmir is out now, and Carrie's, well, is the one that we discussed, the first in the Xavier's Institute line, Liberty and Justice for All, coming out in close to a week.
Yes, very close.
I'm trying to set up some little crossovers between future books and the Marvel Heroine series, but we'll see how possible that is.
That's very cool. I like that idea a lot. I know Mark is very keen on having crossovers and things merging in with each other and building like this big universe of Aconite stories. So that would be very cool indeed.
We'll just have to see how that goes.
Yeah. But yeah, looking forward to the panel. It's going to be interesting to have a chat with all of you and hear about your experiences writing Marvel and sort of future projects that we might be able to talk a little bit about. I have to talk to Mark and see what secrets we might be able to share, which would be very cool. But yeah, that's for FanX convention, which is used to be one of the Comic-Cons, but it's now not a Comic-Con, but it's its own thing, and it's sort of geeky, nerdy news and pop culture. I have their website, but not on me. I will put that in the post as well, so people can find FanX. It's all online, obviously, so anyone can join in. People in the UK,
please do.
1 a.m. So maybe wait till a rerun, but.
We will be very grateful if you join us, especially at 1 a.m. Our self-sacrificing marketing manager here.
And Lottie as well, so I can't take all of
And Lottie, yes.
The two of us will be in our pajamas. Very professional. But yeah, and we may also have Gwen, who's our newest editor. She is Mountain Time, so she can pop in. It'd be a normal time for her. But as Lottie did all the editing for these Marvel books, it made sense to have her there to talk about her experiences with Marvel. Yeah, well, we've had no questions from the chat, so hopefully that means that we've touched all the bases and people know everything they want to know. So I guess it's just me saying, Tristan, thank you for coming along and chatting with me today about Domino's Soul. And yeah, this will be available on our YouTube and our Facebook on demand. So yeah, I'll be putting posts up. So if you've missed it, you can see it there. Though you won't have heard me say this because you've missed it. If your friend has missed it, they can see it there. Direct them to our YouTube or Facebook. But yes, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Currently the bird is having a snooze on me. We're here cheeping away. Yeah, I'm going to spend the rest of my Saturday having some wine. Yeah.
And I'm going to spend the rest of my Saturday being especially nice to my kitty while she convalesces.
Oh, poor kitty.
She was not happy about that.
Oh no, I can imagine. I can imagine. Bless. Well, many snuggles then.
Yes.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for new announcements. Yay! Bye.